Hey, I am back. My software for live videos seems to be working great right now, which is good news for this video, but I don't understand. Earlier today, I used this exact same setup, computer, haven't changed anything, and it was acting very wacky on my main channel video. But so it is. I'm just grateful that I've been getting better about using this software, because if you guys saw my test video that I did the first time I used this, it was not good because I didn't know how to connect the audio or set up the audio and all that. Anyways, I am really happy to say that I am in a very positive mood and just feeling very happy. So I decided to do this spontaneous video. I feel like maybe like my last few videos have felt kind of down or something, and I think that's what I want to chat with you about. First of all, I do still intend on doing live videos on Mondays, but this Monday I was traveling in San Francisco and I was so exhausted. I was at the Fancy Food Show, which is what my videos on my Eco Vegan Gal main channel page and the Facebook page, the live videos I put up today, were all about, and you can learn about the products that I tried there. I was just exhausted. I walked at least 5 miles every day just at the trade show, and that's just one thing I'm still trying to figure out is my sleep schedule. I have really been sticking to it. I feel like this month has been a really long month, but also going by really fast simultaneously. I feel like so much has happened, and it's kind of weird that it's almost the end of January. We have less than a week until February. But when I think of everything that I've done this month, I don't know about you guys, but it just feels like so much. And I hope that I'm curious about what each of your experiences are with the new year so far. Anyways, so the sleep has been an interesting thing for me, and it's an ongoing adjustment for me. I've talked about how I switched my schedule to waking up at 8:30. My alarm goes off at 8:30 a.m. every day, but I would say that over the past week or so, I haven't necessarily been waking up that early. I did get up that early today, and I was so tired I took a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day, which is a little unlike me. And yesterday, I think I slept in later. It's been hard, and I'm not sure if it's challenging because I haven't been going to bed as early as I should. For example, generally I like to go to bed by 11:30, and right now it's 11:40 p.m. So I won't be getting my full 9 hours of sleep, and I think that really wears away at me. It's so interesting how many people think that they can get away with not getting enough sleep for themselves. And so many of us are hooked on caffeine and other stimulants to get us to stay awake and fight through sleepless nights and all of that stuff. I know for myself that I really thrive off 9 hours of sleep. And so it just deeply affects me. And I don't feel my best. I don't perform at my best. Like everything gets affected negatively when I don't get enough sleep. So I think maybe sometimes that has to do with my mood. I think for sure it does, but if I ever seem kind of down or frustrated, that can definitely affect it. One thing that I wanted to touch upon today is talking about yoga. So if you've been following my journey this month, I am in the midst of a 30 yoga class challenge for the month of January. It's called the 30-day yoga challenge, and you're supposed to do 30 classes in the month of January, and if I complete that, I get self-satisfaction, and also the yoga studio gives me like some free passes or something to give to friends. And I've just been so determined, and I'm almost done with it, which feels incredible. But honestly, it's been hard. I know it probably just sounds hard in concept, but for me, I don't think I had expected it to be what it's been. And I think it's been a really interesting metaphor for life in general. First of all, it's helped me a lot to shift my schedule, and waking up and going to yoga first thing in the morning has been really great. And just saying that out loud it really reinforces how much it's affected me, because I've been studying high performance for a while for my personal and professional development, and also for my coaching students. And waking up early is just something that's very common for high performers, as is working out in the morning, as is not checking your devices first thing in the morning. And that is something that I have definitely accomplished this month for most days. It's still, funny enough, very tricky not to check my cell phone and not check emails or text messages or social media first thing in the morning. And the more I'm conscious of that, the more interesting it is. And I encourage all of you to consider this as well, because it's just kind of fascinating. When I personally step back from using social media and checking correspondence with people, I recognize more how uncommon it is for correspondence to be really important. And I'm starting to value more and more like really deep types of communication with people. As you may know, I've been working on my membership platform, Eco Vegan Pal, and it's been in an off period for the past few months as I've been working on revamping it, and I'm finally going to reopen it on February 1st, which is really exciting. And February to me is going to be a month of really studying communication. So you guys will probably hear a lot about that next month, because I really just want to dig in deeper to how we communicate with each other, how we treat one another, all of the opportunities for us to work on our communication. And I also think that not only entails when we communicate with each other, but it entails when we don't, when we choose not to. And we're in this time period where communication is such a huge part of most of our lives. We're text messaging, we're emailing, we're talking on the phone, we're on social media, we're going to social events. For many of us, not all of us, but especially, for me, I live in Los Angeles. It's a very social city. Like tonight, I went to this really cool pop-up dinner, and it was an all-vegan diner for one night in LA. You can check my Instagram if you want to see a little peek at it, my Instagram story. And I then immediately went to a grocery store, which is I ran into people I knew there, and it's just very easy to socialize is my point. And I went with my friend Jason, and so I just feel like I had a lot of socialization. And then just throughout the week, Jason and I got together yesterday, and it just feels like I socialize a lot, and I have to make a very conscious effort not to socialize. Some people don't have that problem, but I feel like a lot of us can easily get into socializing even just online, and it can become so much. We become so used to how we present ourselves to other people, how we interact with other people, what we think of others, how we judge them, how we treat them. There's just a lot of opportunities, I think, to finesse that. And yoga for me has helped a lot, because it's given me an opportunity to focus more on myself and self-improvement first thing in the morning, usually, because most of the classes I take are at 9 a.m., 9:30, 10. And my practice most days has been to just not really talk to anybody in any form. And I find it's really fascinating. Of course, I'm interacting with people at yoga, but very minimally. And it's just kind of interesting when you don't start your day off by texting, by calling, by checking email, by checking social, and you really just go inward to yourself. Meditation's also a great practice, which one of these days I'll become better at. And yoga has also been affecting my body in a lot of really interesting ways. And one of the big points that I wanted to make in this video is that when you put a lot of focus into self-improvement, whether it's emotional, physical, a lot of times there's growing pains. And sometimes it's in ways that you experience types of pain in ways that you've never expected or experienced before. And I've certainly had that with yoga. In fact, right now, the past few days, I've had weird pains in my hip and my knee, and not in an alarming way, but just in a way that I'm curious about. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that type of pain before. It's more like an inflammation type of pain, and I think it's because I've been putting a lot of focus on working on my right hip. My right hip has had a lot of pain, actually the whole right side of my body. I sprained my ankle years ago, and I think that has had long-term effects on me because I never really did the physical therapy I needed to do. Lesson learned. And, I'm predominant with my right hand for writing and things like that, using my phone. So there's a lot of work that I do on the right side of my body, and I think the tension can build up so much. Well, I just have a lot of tightness in my right hip, and so I've been trying over this past month to work on that, and I've been pushing myself a lot, and I think maybe I have either pushed myself too far, or maybe I've pushed myself in ways I never have before, and so I'm experiencing the results of that, which is what I think is most likely. And this is where I think it's a very important thing to bring up, and is that this type of pain, physical or emotional, any growth, any growing pain is usually temporary. But we have an opportunity when we experience those types of pain to face it, to walk through it, to push ourselves through it and get to the other side, or to choose to say, oh, I'm in pain, I'm going to back away. And I feel like it's so common for us to back away from pain. And one thing I've really wanted to work on this month, especially, is my endurance. Especially with fitness. Fitness I've always found really tough. I've always had a lot of resistance to fitness, literally as long as I can remember. And I would just think that I wasn't somebody who was an athlete, or if I reflect on it, I would kind of make every excuse I possibly could not to push myself physically. And I became kind of, that just became a part of the definition of myself in a very subtle way that I haven't really acknowledged before, is I would hit these walls of resistance where I would say, oh, it's too uncomfortable, I'm not going to do it. So this 30 days of yoga has been really big for me because it's involved me doing such regular yoga, and I'm so close to the finish line that I don't want to stop, even though I've had a few days where I really would have preferred not to go. But I've gone anyways because I'm committed. And I've done classes that I didn't want to go to, but I went anyways because I'm committed. And now I'm experiencing pain in my body that maybe in other months I would have said, oh, I'm in pain, I probably shouldn't be going to class. But today, when I was really reflecting on it, none of the pain that I'm experiencing feels like I need to stop, right? Like, we kind of know intuitively when our body is in extreme pain and when we should stop. Every once in a while there's exceptions and people push themselves too hard and can get hurt. But nothing that I've been doing in class is seemingly harmful to my body because I have great teachers, great guidance, and I've been doing yoga for long enough to know. And I think that it's just interesting because if were I not doing this challenge, I probably would have just said, I'm going to take a break. Instead, I'm choosing to go to class anyways and to be very gentle, which is also very humbling for the ego and I think a great experience. So one thing I've experienced a lot over the years in yoga is that most teachers are completely okay if you show up to class and you don't try very hard. A lot of them will point out that the hardest part about yoga is just getting to class or starting yoga, whatever the type of practice that you're doing. And so some days, like today, this morning, I was so tired. Getting up was so challenging, and there was traffic, and it took me a while to get there, and I was just exhausted. But I got there. I showed up in the room. And today may have been my laziest practice of the whole month, or one of them, like meaning I half-assed it, clearly. But the teacher didn't judge me for it. He still said I did a great job, even though it wasn't my best. He's seen me do so much better. But I was there, and I was still moving my body, and I was taking the breaks that I needed because of some of the pain I'm experiencing, and I was just tired, right? So I had to kind of step back and congratulate myself for doing it despite the resistance of exhaustion. Exhaustion's an exaggeration. The resistance of feeling tired and the resistance of feeling physically uncomfortable. And then also, I kind of rewarded myself, or really decided to take better care of myself. I went and got a leg massage today, which is really cool. I found this awesome Thai massage place. There's a ton in my area of Los Angeles, and I'd been to a couple of them before for full body massages, but I don't know if I've ever had just like a leg or foot massage at any of these places. And so I literally went to 4 different places before I found one. And I found this great place and had this phenomenal leg massage. And it didn't fully resolve the issue that I've been experiencing in my hip, because I didn't maybe get as deep into the hip as I need, or maybe I just need to take a break after this challenge. But it felt so good to treat myself to that, because I don't get a ton of body work done, meaning massage, right? I do a lot of body work through yoga, but I don't get massages very often. I get them a few times a year, sometimes just like once a year. And one thing I've really wanted for a big part of my life is to get massages more regularly. And I feel like that's so important for most of us. Having somebody giving you that one-on-one attention, and they're dedicating like an hour of their time just to take care of your body, is like one of the greatest gifts. Like, it's extraordinary. And I've had friends, or boyfriends like rub my feet or my back and blah, blah, blah. But like when I went in today, I just remembered the profound impact of having a professional do some deep work on my body. And it was painful too. And this is another thing, like speaking of pain, even through massage can be painful, right? And I was sitting there at times cringing because he was getting so deep into my feet. He was doing like full-on acupressure. And I remember sitting there going like, this is so uncomfortable, but I probably need this done. If this hurts like this, that means that my muscles probably need to be worked on, right? It wasn't like there's just different types of pain. There's the pain that's temporary, and there's the pain that's longer and generally or more acute, right? Versus chronic, right? So I knew that the pain that I was feeling from that massage was the pain of like tension in my muscles. And if any of you have had a massage before, like, sometimes it can be painful when you have tight muscles, when you have knots, when you haven't had a certain part of your body touched in a while. Like, through massage, it's getting into those places. And that's also what yoga does, is it's, for me, like getting into my hip and parts of my hips and stretching my hips in a way that I haven't really ever done. And I guess, like, in addition to noticing its effect on me, it just has me reflecting a lot on how other people take care of their bodies. And I want to keep talking about this because I encourage all of you to find ways to take care of your own bodies, not just through your food, but through all types of different movement, whatever fitness appeals to you, but also things like massage. So I also have a 90-minute full body massage that I'm going to be doing next week after I complete all 30 days. And that was interesting too, because I kept thinking this week, I'm like, my leg's hurting, like I really feel like I should get a massage, but I have one next week. And I was kind of like being weird about it. And then today I'm like, well, who cares if I'm getting a massage this week and next week? Like, if that's what I need, that's what I need. So I treated myself, and it felt great to do it. So if you find yourself feeling emotionally resistant to any types of movement, any type of care for your body, I encourage you guys to push through that resistance. And it really does come down to that Nike slogan of just doing it. Because when you just do something, that's when you really know how it feels. Because imagining yourself doing something and choosing not to is very different than doing something and then deciding you're not going to do it again. Or deciding to try things a bunch of times before you decide not to do it again. That's another common thing is, doing a challenge like this 30-day challenge is very interesting for me because my tendency is to go to yoga a few times a week, but it's rare of me to go 7 days a week. I've done that every once in a while, but I don't know, I've probably never done more than 10 consecutive classes, right? So when you challenge yourself to do something differently and you know that you're being guided appropriately, so for example, obviously the studio doesn't want to harm any of its students, so they know that doing 30 days of yoga is going to be okay if you do it in the right way and you have your guidance of your teacher. So I feel safe in that environment, and it's giving me that flexibility, literally and figuratively, to push myself in new ways and see really what I'm made of. And I just see Matthew. I like that. He made a joke. He said, he was commenting on when I said I was half-assed in my class today, which was funny because my right hip and ass, because the hip is connected to your ass, was sore for sure. So it was definitely half-assed. I wasn't putting a lot of attention on my right side. I like that. Thanks for picking up on that. Yeah, I just feel like, noticing the way that who we are and how we the different like waves of life, the different places we are in our lives at different times. To me, that's part of the interesting element of this channel, is that you guys will see me at times where I feel really happy and positive, and you'll see me at times where I'm maybe struggling with something or I'm feeling kind of low. But I've noticed that those complement each other, right? We need those different elements of ourselves, and that contrast there is so helpful in us getting to know ourselves, right? I also choose in most of my life, I don't like to see things as bad or negative, because I feel like there's always something to be grateful for, and that anything that feels bad or off or not right or uncomfortable is ultimately leading us towards the opposite end of that spectrum. I've been listening to Oprah's podcast a lot during my drive to yoga. It's like my rituals, listening to her interviewing all these amazing people. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's the Super Soul Sunday podcast, and it's great because it's like 30-minute clips of her talking to Maya Angelou, is the one I've been listening to today, and Eckhart Tolle, which is my favorite Tolle, and who else has been on there? So many great people. Michael Singer. Wonderful, wonderful interviews. Even RuPaul. Like, I was like, RuPaul, do I want to listen to this? And it was great. I didn't know like so much about RuPaul, and it was just wonderful. And listening to these, one theme that's been coming up a lot is that sometimes we need to go backwards in order to move forwards. We can get so frustrated when we feel like, as individuals or collectively, for example, in our country right now, it feels like sometimes we're moving backwards, especially last year. Depending on your political views, some people think the presidency is taking a step back. Some people think, we had like the neo-Nazism, and it's like, wow, like how are we going through this stuff again? And the racism, and there's so many things, the feminism. the way that women's rights and all that, like a lot of this brings up things that we may have thought we were done with. And it's shocking sometimes to see how maybe we're not as progressive as we think we are in this country, and probably in many others as well. But Oprah's point of view and many of the people she interviews is that oftentimes when we feel like we're taking that step back, it's vital to move forward. We can move forward, but when we step back, it's almost like a slingshot where we have to pull back in order to release and shoot farther than we've ever gone. And I love that idea. And I think that's important for us to think about that for ourselves as well, is that, pain, for example, can feel like a setback, but maybe pain is a way for us to rest, or pain is a way for us to experiment with our threshold of pain. Maybe pain is a sign that you're doing the work, a lot of times going through detoxes, like releasing emotions or releasing, if you're doing a cleanse or something, like things come out of your body that may have been stored in there, right? Like I find that the discomfort is not necessarily a bad thing. Maya Angelou also said that we should always say thank you for everything that shows up in our lives. We should always be grateful because every part of life is such a gift. And I think it's really important to be reminded of that and remind ourselves and other people of that, because it truly is a gift. Many of us are so privileged. I know that I am. And there's so many circumstances, right? But it's also really easy to get into a comparison trap and to not realize how fortunate we are because we're so busy looking at what somebody else has. I've been looking for more ways to give back. I've been looking for more ways to hold on to things less, especially money, for example. And it could be anything from leaving a generous tip to donating something or giving somebody money that's, asking for it on the street, like all of these different things. Supporting businesses even when they seem overpriced. There's just a lot of different ways that we can kind of let go of the resistance to give to others. We can do that through kindness and words, is choosing to be kind to somebody versus choosing to get frustrated. For example, today I had a frustrating experience with a friend, and I really contemplated expressing to this friend how I was feeling. And I decided to hold back on it because I wasn't sure if it was necessary for me to express my feelings. And hours went by, I kind of forgot about it. When I remembered what had happened later that day, I realized that I didn't have that emotional reaction anymore. And so it would have been unnecessary for me to express my feelings to this friend because it might have made this friend feel kind of bad or awkward, or it might have put some weird energy between us that just wasn't necessary. So sometimes we can help others by giving, but sometimes we can help others by holding back in ways like that, right? Like, what do we say versus what we don't say? What do we give versus what we don't give? All of these different things are so important to the way that they affect us and other people around us, and the impact that we make and the growth that we take as human beings. Is how can we add and improve somebody's lives versus what can we take away that would actually benefit? Like sometimes, similarly to if we take a step back, that can actually result in us taking a step forward. But sometimes when we subtract something from our lives or other people's lives, we're actually adding to it in an odd way. The concept of minimalism is got a lot to do with this, right? Is that we can feel like we need so much stuff in our lives, but it actually ends up being more of a burden. And when we subtract stuff from our lives, that ends up lifting so much weight off of us that we feel so much better, and we feel like we are stronger as a result, having less. That's something that I have been thinking a lot about. My place is complete wreck right now, especially over here beyond my desk. I just have so much stuff. Just my closet is overflowing. It's just like I've been avoiding dealing with it, but I really need to, and I'm actually really looking forward to just spending maybe a whole day just recycling things and cleaning things and selling things and just organizing everything, because I know that it'll feel like a big energetic weight. I'm sure you guys can recognize what it's like to walk into your home and it's messy or it's unorganized versus when it's organized and clean. It just feels so different. So saying this out loud, I'm like, wow, I can't imagine what stagnant energy is here. It's just like, again, coming back to my hips, like, what about all this emotion that's been pent up in my hips? And what a disservice I've been doing for myself for years by not only releasing, or I've been doing a disservice by storing that energy, but not like stretching them. Like the pain that I'm feeling right now, that just might be because I'm stretching them to the place they really should be. Like I'm freeing my hips up so that I can move better and I can feel better. But I have to push through some pain. And imagine all the stored, blocked energy that's in my home right now, because it's kind of a crazy mess beyond what you can see from the camera. So yeah, we can accumulate a lot of tension, a lot of messiness, a lot of stuck emotions, a lot of sadness, and hold on to way too much. But if we focus on releasing, I think it can lead to such great, great things. And that's what I want to do. So Matthew said, reminds me of a comic where the person's room was spotless just within the cone of the webcam. Everything else was a mess. Yeah. Yep, that is, I mean, it's really not that bad. You can see a look. So over here, I have just, first of all, like all this papers, things that need to be opened up, books that need to be put back on the shelf. That is like, I try to keep my little table organized, but it ends up being a spot of accumulation. And then this is where it's really bad. Over here, there's just like, I've been trying to organize the stuff, so I keep piling it up, but then I don't organize it. And then the closet, you can barely see, but it was just like so much stuff on the ground and overflowing from the shelves and stuff. And I don't know why it's taking me so long to get to it. I really had an intention for the past month or two to spend time on it, but I have some resistance there. So maybe this video will inspire me to just do it. The sad thing is I generally get so much energy around this time of night, and I really should be going to bed. So that's the battle for me. I really get a lot of energy around midnight, and it's hard for me to shift. But look how cute Evie is there, waiting for me. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Probably watch a little TV, do a little, I don't know if I should work or not. I'm really trying not to work after like 6 p.m., but it's really hard. I don't know. Maybe I'll work a little bit, watch a little TV, read, and then go to sleep. That's something I want to touch more upon too, is how I've, the ongoing process of what we want to do versus what is most beneficial to us. Because I want to check social media and refresh my email and check my texts and blah, 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 all that stuff. Like it feels good to be in communication with other people, but most of the time it doesn't really benefit me. So, and then it can also lead to comparison. It can lead to like the spiral of social media, of being on Instagram or YouTube for so long. You guys know how it is. I can get sucked into the YouTube vortex very easily. I love to go to the trending page of YouTube. It's like been my new thing. Like a few times a week, I'll just like watch a lot of the trending videos to try to stay in the know. But then I'm just like on YouTube for hours, and then, you know, I'm not getting to all the more important things like cleaning my home. So I don't know. It's an ongoing adjustment, and one thing I've learned over 10 years of creating content and 7 years of working for myself, 8 years actually, this is my 8th year. February next month, I think, will be 8 years since I quit my last full-time job. And it's been a journey, and it's, you know, it's just an ongoing journey. It's never hit a period where it's smooth sailing for me. It's always like an ongoing climb. And the more I recognize that, the easier it is to be easy on myself, not so hard on myself, and recognize that I'm just going to do my best every day. In fact, tonight, the person that invited me to the pop-up I went to, this vegan diner pop-up, is a woman that I worked with at my last full-time job. So you never know. And like seeing her after probably years of not being in communication, and her telling me how she was impressed with the work that I was doing, I just thought, wow, like if only I knew 8 years ago what would transpire. I think it would really blow my mind. Thanks, Matthew. And this year is my 10th year with Eco Vegan Gal. Eco Vegan Gal started in October 2008, so I'm aiming to do some big celebrations this year, gearing up to that. So maybe in the month of October, or maybe the last, I don't know. There's a lot of things I have in my head that I'm trying to put together. So stay tuned, because I would really love to celebrate with you guys, maybe in person. I mean, I'd really love to do some live Eco Vegan Gal events that you were all invited to. Artist Infantry said, it's said that intelligent people are messy people. You know, who knows? Creativity comes in so many forms, and it's nice to think that, but I also think more and more so, it's just about less labels. It's like we're all so unique as human beings, and we try to fit ourselves into all these boxes. You know, it's like, I'm not entirely sure that I'm meant to go to bed at 11:30 p.m. and wake up at 8:30. Like, I'm jamming myself into a weird sleep schedule box right now that doesn't feel natural to me. I don't know if that'll work. You know, I'm trying to see if I need to reset something, but, you know, maybe I'm just not meant to sleep those hours. And am I meant to have a clean home? I don't know. Does it benefit me or not to have to spend time cleaning and organizing? I don't know. I guess that's where the comparison thing is, just seeing what other people do and letting that be a guide, something to keep in mind, but also trying to get in tune with who we really are and what's important to us. And I think that's what I'm always trying to figure out and share with you guys. The good news is I am feeling tired, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go wind down, and I'm going to do my best to be here on Monday night at 5 p.m. Checking my calendar right now. It's literally on my calendar to do these videos every Monday at 5, so I try not to schedule things. And I think that I should be good. I have an event at 7 on Monday, so I will probably be back here next Monday, the last Monday of January. So I hope that you guys are here as well. I love seeing some of your names on a regular basis and just getting to know you more and more. I really, really appreciate your support so much. I hope you know that. And I'm so glad that I've kind of fine-tuned a new way of recording these videos. So, yeah. Okay. I'm going to head to bed. Wishing you all the very best. Have a fantastic weekend. And I'll see you soon. Bye.